What I'd now like to do is introduce Chris Baumann. Chris is the CMO of Huddle. I won't make the mistake that I did with Jason and go through his whole resume as part of the introduction, just in case he covers that. But what I will say is, in my experience of Chris, he's one of the most forward-thinking and innovative CMOs that I've come across. He's got a passion for technology, passion for cloud technology, and a vision that is really demonstrably changing the companies that he has worked for and is currently working for. He's got over 20 years experience across a vast variety of technology players and can really add some value to the business, or is adding value to the businesses that he's involved in. And I genuinely believe he's got some great thoughts to share with us today. So, well, I'd like to welcome Chris onto the stage.
Yeah. Thank you much. Which button do I use? Which button do I press? That one.
You know when I said he was passionate about technology?
So this is, I think, the first time I've been to a Google headquarters UK event. And I'm trying to work out whether it's a Google event or a Richard event, which does all the exercising and everything else. Richard, is it a Google thing you do here?
Very much a Google thing, absolutely.
All right. OK, I'm going to need to take that one. OK, I'm a CMO. Richard asked me to come along and talk about 21st century CMO. What the heck is that? A little bit of background of myself. I live in California. I spend a bit of my time over here, a bit of my time over there. I work for this amazing company called Huddle. And I've been working for them for about 9 months. Before that, I worked as the CMO for a large enterprise software company in the B2B world called Informatica. Before that, I lived over here in the UK. I was CMO of a globalization technology company called SDL, and they focused on translation technology, cloud technology, as well as services. Before that, I worked for Salesforce.com, running marketing for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Before that, I worked at a technology company called Veritas Software. And we won't go any further back from that. But my basic point is, I've only lived in the B2B world. I actually believe that B2B follows B2C. And a lot of the things that you see happening in the B2C world will come into the B2B world. And what I liked about what I heard from Jason is there's a lot of commonality between a company like Huddle and the insurance sector. Hadn't realized that before, but the passion, the customer advocacy, the focus on energy and drive, the way in which things occur and the way in which you deal with people, is very, very similar. So let me tell you a little bit about Huddle. Hands up those people, and I'm interested to see this. How many people have heard of Huddle? Fantastic, I love it. We are a British software company. We were formed in the old street back in 2007, and we believe that we are here to help transform the way people work. And the reason that I joined Huddle is that there was something that marketeers do that I found I was failing at. And that is, how do you build content? And so what Huddle is an organization, move that on. Huddle is an organization that provides a cloud service running on a data center here in the UK. We've moved over into the US, and we have a data center in the US. And it's about how you build content. It's all about people and content. And we replace legacy technologies such as SharePoint. And the whole premise here is using the cloud, mobility, social technologies to help teams of people within an organization and beyond the organization to work on and build content. Okay, so what's that got to do with being a 21st century CMO? Well, essentially, what this is all about is embracing the new world that is around us, that we are just starting out on in a journey to help us do things that we could never do before. And the words at the bottom there, success guaranteed, we basically guarantee the success of our customers. And I actually have 2 hats. I run the marketing organization, and I run our customer success organization. And the whole premise by bringing those 2 together is that everything in the cloud world is about the customer. Absolutely everything. And one of the tenets of 21st century CMO world, in my opinion, is understanding and paying more than just lip service to the customer. And that's why what Jason said, I think, is absolutely phenomenal, because it's absolutely right. Over the years, we've grown to be a standard in government. So 80% of UK central government use Huddle. We've moved across into the US government. We're used across commercial organizations. But we are more than that. And only one comment here, and you'll forgive me for saying this. We donate our service to charities. So if any of you have any local charities, if any of you have your favorite charities, we donate 25 user licenses, basically on a subscription basis to charities, and I would be delighted if any of your organizations or you personally have charities that you would like to provide that service to. So that's the advert. So what is it then about a 21st century CMO? There's a theme here, isn't there? Again, children. The reason that I put a child up there is that I believe that we are seeing the changing of the guard. We are seeing the death of old on-premise technology, and we are seeing the flowering, the growth, the explosion of new technology, basically combining social technologies, cloud technologies, mobile technologies, in a way that has never, ever happened before. And I stand in front of you, basically with my beard, looking a little bit older than that particular person. And am I a 21st century CMO? I think my children are going to be 21st century CMOs. What I'm doing is I am basically grappling with the most amazing change that is happening around. And I do not know of any other discipline, any other part of a business that is changing as profoundly as the marketing organization is right now. IT is not changing in that way. Other line of businesses aren't changing that way. When you look at what is happening, and what I'd like to do is share with you over the next 10 minutes, almost like that evolution to where we have got to. Because what I'm trying to do is a very simple thing. And I've taken some words from a colleague of mine who I know very well, which is a little organization called Agent 3. But what am I trying to do? Well, actually, I'm trying to do roughly what I've always tried to do. I'm trying to understand my customer. I'm trying to connect with them in a way that will deliver value and mutual benefit, and I'm trying to build a relationship. So that's all about getting close to your customer, thinking about who your customer is. But fundamentally, it is about data, infrastructure, and content. Is another way that I put it, which is how can I use data in this day and age to allow me to understand who my prospects are, who my customers are, where they are, what they are doing in the digital world? How can I then build the infrastructure that allows me to engage with them, to deliver the right content at the right place at the right time in order to engage with them? And I'm in the business of trying to personalize my communications, engage with people. I'm using technology to actually try and identify the IP when they come to the website, trying to flow information through, doing all the old school things like lead scoring. Old school? I thought that was new school. No, that's old school. And actually moving myself forward by embracing social where it makes sense, because it doesn't make sense everywhere, and how we actually achieve that. This is my second most complicated slide, so forgive me. It's from a company called Informatica. I was the CMO over there for 5 years. And what this is trying to do is a couple of things. You'll see some big bars down as you go across the screen. And in essence, you're talking back in the 60s and 70s when we did mainframe computing, we basically provided technology, IT provided technology, to a small number of employees to process certain things. Then we moved forward. And back in the 80s and 90s, with client-server computing, companies like Microsoft, with front office productivity, started engaging a lot more of the user population. All inside the company, all inside the firewall. Then we moved forward to the 1990s. into the web era, and move forward into the 2000s, into the cloud era, where we're looking at line of business self-service to start building ecosystems. Then we move into the social engagement with the communities. And in the future, it's all about real-time optimization, which is all about the devices around us. And the art of marketing is to provide creativity on how to work your way through this. And if you look at this, what this means from a marketeer's point of view is a truly profound evolution. Because that is my most complicated slide, and I don't even understand half of it myself, which is this is the technology landscape that we face as a marketeer, and we're trying to take advantage of it, whether it be CRM systems, marketing automation, custom web applications, core websites, SEO tools, video ad management, creative optimization, search, social. It is an enormous world that is confronting the modern marketeer in terms of how to deal with this. And one of the challenges of the 21st century marketeer, I state, is how to understand and how to navigate through this mass of technology and who to trust in helping you along that journey. I think one of the things that when I talk to my colleagues and other CMOs is who to trust. Who can actually help? And for the agency organizations in the room here today, one of your challenges, and I think you are in an amazingly powerful situation, but a challenge is actually that level of trust from a CMO in order to understand what to do. Because I am personally overwhelmed on a regular basis with people saying, hey, I can help you do this. I can help you do that. I can help you do this. I can help you do that. And it's all with the best possible meaning. But it's like, how do I deal with this? And so I have my own personal strategy of what I'm trying to do. We at Huddle are going from, we are actually in an evolution ourselves. We are going from traditional, well, not traditional, forgive me, that's not right. Very heavily only inbound to inbound and outbound, and very heavily online to online and offline. And so there is a role in the world for non-digital, but my backbone is digital because it allows me to understand. And as with the statistics thrown up earlier, if you talk to many, many analysts, they will say that the role of marketing, and I believe this totally, is to identify somebody when they are researching, because they will research online. And when they research online, it is my job to find them, my job effectively to communicate with them in a personalized fashion, and when the time is right, deliver them to sales. But the world of cloud and mobile and social, it is becoming very, very preeminent in my opinion. I do not know a marketeer when faced with a choice for new technology who does not look first to the cloud. And you may hear about all sorts of things with regard to cloud this and cloud that, and security and innovation and whatever. But ultimately, where I come from, and maybe I've spent 5.5 years in Silicon Valley, but all marketeers or all CMOs that I know, when they are looking for something new, they will look to the cloud. And if you look at some of the statistics here, which relate to how that cloud is growing, there's actually a very, I've attributed it down here, each of these. There's a wonderful article on Huffington Post. This is a subset of the facts that you will find on that URL. So go on to the Huffington Post, and I can share it with you afterwards. I'm not sure if the presentations are being handed out. Fantastic. But there's a whole range, and each one of those bullets is attributed individually to different places. But when you look at it, yeah, the cloud is growing. When you look at mobile, the mega trend of the 21st century is empowerment of people via connected mobile devices. The iPad, 3 years old. It seems like it's been around forever. I don't know what I would do without it. I, as a leader of a company, I spend 90% of my technology time on my iPhone or my iPad. What's quite interesting is 200 million tablets sold. 29% of Americans say their phone is the first and last thing they look at every day. I wouldn't say it's the first thing I look at. My wife lying in my bed might be the one, but it may be the last thing I look at. But actually, I get my cup of coffee and I'm looking at my iPhone. And I'm working already. Mobile, if you do not have a strategy for mobile, then you are a laggard. And social. Same thing is true of social. But it's more about the sociology and the psychology than it is actually about purely the technology. Social is a really weird one for me because I'm a firm believer in social, but I'm becoming disillusioned with social. It's about how you use social. I use Twitter to influence people. I don't use Twitter in the B2B world to sell things. I don't believe that that's the right channel to use for that. But also, I will use LinkedIn for B2B. I will use Facebook for B2C. But also, I will then use social as a way of working together as a team on content. So there are reasons for using social. And one of my pieces of advice to people is, when you are thinking about social, please think very carefully about when you want to use social, because it's not the panacea for everything. And that's why analysts like Gartner and Laura McClellan came out with a report, I think it was 2011, end of 2011. The CMO will spend more on IT than the CIO. And this is because that technology landscape that I showed you earlier was simply an illustrative statement of what the CMO of today is actually facing, is how to piece that together. And the marketing organization nowadays touches so much of a business from a brand point of view, because brand is no longer the image. Brand is your customer engagement through the community. And lead generation is no longer basically going to an event. Lead generation is about personalizing and nurturing people, individuals, in a human fashion through the funnel. So all of these things are changing. But this is why, and one particular slide in her deck was this little friction between the CIO and the CMO. I'm setting up next speaker extremely well. But it's this need to be able to deal with how, and in many organizations, and not all organizations, because I know brilliant CIOs who are all about innovation and driving things forward. But marketing nowadays has to go very fast and has to innovate and try things out. And one of the things that's happening, I think, in many marketing organizations is they try things quickly, they see if it works. If it does, they expand it. Otherwise, they put it to one side and move on to the next. And there is this continual innovation curve. Marketing is not standing still. And marketing departments that feel they've got, oh, it's all connected beautifully together and everything's working, they need to continue to innovate. And this is why there's a lot of acquisitions going on in the world of the marketing landscape. As a result of things like Gartner saying that the CMO is going to spend a lot more money on technology, companies like Salesforce focus on the CMO. Last year's Dreamforce was all about going after the marketing organization. That's why companies like, and this is a monopoly board effectively, that I'm just going to drill in and show you because I can't see it all myself, which is, okay, Oracle acquired this company, and Salesforce acquired that company, and Oracle acquired this company, and Google acquired that company, and Eloqua went public, and this company got funding, and that company basically acquired another company, and then off you go, and Microsoft acquired this, and HubSpot raised this, and Oracle acquired that, and it's just, there is a lot of change happening in the marketplace. So my summary is, marketing is an amazing, and we're all here celebrating marketing. Digital is a backbone that we all use. But the world has changed and is continuing to change. And it is going so fast. The consumerization of IT, mobility, social technologies, cloud technologies, these are basically, this is the ammunition of the modern marketeer. And in my opinion, we have to be agile, nimble, fast. Yes, we are now reliant on data, we are reliant on technology, and we are reliant on content. And we have to conquer and manage those in the most effective way. And I would argue that most organizations are just beginning to understand how to do that. No longer relies on IT to get the job done. And that's very true. I will work with IT, but I'm no longer beholden of IT, and I will work with the IT leaders who help me achieve what I need to do. And I am now embracing the cloud, I'm embracing social, I'm embracing mobile, because that is where the innovation is. That is where the new thinking is. That is the world that I need to go to. And we are far more linked to sales than ever before. And you saw the slide that Hannah put up earlier about Huddle. My belief, when I hear people talk about, the divide between sales and marketing, I go, why? When you think about what we are trying to do, and our job is to embrace and find people who are researching and looking, I know more about organizations and what they are looking for than most of the sales organization. And my job is to feed that and grab those people's attention and come to me. And that's what I'm trying to do. But I have to be more joined at the hip with sales than I've ever been before. And my team, my creative team, are people who are data scientists, technologists, and online experts. And certainly from my point of view, I am starting out on a new journey. And all of this technology around us, and all the stuff that Google does, and all the digital world that we live in, is part of that journey. And we've got a hell of a long way to go. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. So one thing I forgot to mention up front before Chris came on was one of the reasons I really wanted Chris to be here today is that he recently wrote an article that was published in the Huffington Post entitled CIO versus CMO. And I think Chris highlighted some of the issues that he's covering there and kind of the attitudes and how CMOs today are not and should not act in silos or in isolation. They really need to be thinking about, well, how do I interact with other members of the board? How do I interact with the rest of the C-suite? Mentioning the CIO community, the chief sales officer and people like that as well, which is really important. I was very pleased to hear that Chris said that digital should be the backbone of your marketing. If there's one thing to take out of that today, please that would be fine, great. Replace digital with Google, then I'd be very happy. But that's really interesting because I think today a lot of companies aren't even doing that. They're thinking of digital as an add-on.